Maybe in the last few months you started a new relationship. Did you start a relationship with Netflix? There was lots of time for it. Plenty of time to be sitting on the couch and binging our favorite series. And then all of a sudden, Netflix got a little sassy and dropped a message on us like this. Yeah. Judge much, Netflix? And so you decided to switch relationships and you popped on over to YouTube. And it was going great for a while until that 15-minute mark, that 30-minute mark, that 60-minute mark hit. And all of a sudden YouTube's pulling the judgment card again. Yeah, and so it progresses. You go back to Netflix, you're off, you're on, you're off, you're on. We were on a break.
We were on a break. We were on a break. We were on a break. We were on a break.
And by the way, it seems to be perfectly clear that you were on a break.
And then Netflix drops a bomb like this. You know what I'm talking about. We've had plenty of time to be binging in the last little while. Get up for class, get up for your next Google Meet. Get up. Or just on a generic Saturday morning, get up. Why? Because it's time. Get up, get outside, get a little fresh air. Yeah, it was easy to stay in bed, and maybe this was you at some point. Be careful where you fall asleep and with what magazine. This is my favorite chair. Spend some time here. Usually in the morning after I get up, I sit down. I sit down for half an hour or 45 minutes and I read, have a nice cup of coffee, I pray, I get into the good book. But eventually I have to get up. There's a life outside that is calling to me, that I need to enter into and engage. It just happens. We get up. We can't spend our entire life binging and sitting down. And so we have the theme for our year. Arise, get up. And this theme comes from the scripture in the Gospel according to Luke, where Jesus approaches a funeral procession of a young man. Now, there's an interesting thing about this account in the Gospel of Luke. It's the only place in the Gospels where this story actually occurs. Luke's the only one of the four Gospel writers to actually include it. And that's an interesting note because Luke was a physician, a doctor, not a doctor of philosophy, but an actual medical doctor of his time. And Luke, as such, dealt in facts. He dealt in circumstances that we could observe. And it's an interesting note that he saw this account as worthy, the facts held up, and it was necessary to include it to understand the life and the work of Jesus. So this account goes that Jesus sees a funeral procession coming through the streets. Now this would be the equivalent of a funeral procession in our culture where the pallbearers are taking the casket out of the church or the funeral home and bringing it to the hearse. But in this case, it would have been like an open casket. They're carrying this man on a platform, like a bed of sorts, like an open casket where he would have been wrapped up and ready to be taken for burial. Now, Jesus approaches the funeral procession, which was bold enough, but as a rabbi, as a teacher in the Jewish faith, he would never have done what he does next. He touches the body of the young man. And then he speaks to the young man and he says, "Young man, I say to you, arise, get up." And the weeping mother is witness to it. And the pallbearers are all witness to it, as this young man would have sat up and he began speaking as if the life had never left him. The power of the life of Jesus is back inside this man and he gets to live his life further. Imagine the mother who maybe had conversations that were unspoken or words that were left unsaid. Maybe there were stories that were untold, potential that was not yet lived, a life cut too short. And so here Jesus says, you know what? You're not finished with this chapter of my story with you. I've got more for you. So get up. It's time. And I think that we can see ourselves in this young man. That there's a metaphor beyond the power of Jesus over life and death. There's a metaphor for our own lives, for those places in us that have gone to sleep, those places in our hearts that are sitting on the couch binging Netflix, or name your poison. Those places in our hearts that have gone numb, that have gone dead, that we have kind of said no to out of fear or worry or regret. And so here we are. We want to call each of us, call each other to get up and step into the new life that Jesus has for us. Beyond the small story of our news feeds that it's hard to hear one side, hear the other side, hear it over and over again, see the hurt and the pain in the world, and know what to do with it. But Jesus is just saying, I have a place for you. I've got a purpose for you that I need to wake up in you so that you can step into the story that I have for you. And that's his call. Get up. I want you to find those places, no matter where you are in your faith or your relationship with Christ, there's a place for you to step into. You have gifts and abilities, you have a personality, you have a character to bring to the world. And we want to walk together and make that as alive as possible. And so Jesus is calling me, he's calling you, he's calling each one of us to get up and step into it. And so I hope you will. And I look forward to meeting each one of you. This has been The Doug. And I do pray all God's best for you, and I look forward to meeting each one of you.